Hello, welcome to Basic Economic Concepts. My name is Caleb Fisher, and today we will be talking about scarcity, PPC, marginal analysis, circular flow, micro supply and demand, positive and normative, opportunity costs, comparative advantage, utility, and last but not least, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur ability. To start things off, we will be talking about scarcity, opportunity costs, and utility. Scarcity exists in all economies. There are limited goods and services that are never sufficient to satisfy everyone's needs and wants. Therefore, people must choose which good and service they want. These choices are examples of opportunity costs. Every time a person makes a choice, a sacrifice is being made. For example, when a person buys a movie ticket, they are giving up the opportunity to do something else or save money. Oftentimes, people make choices which will benefit them or provide utility. Utility is the happiness received from a good or service.
So here we have the PPC curve, which stands for Production Possibility Curve. You got consumer goods on the bottom, consumer, capital over here, and there's the curve. So if a country is producing on the curve, that means that it is producing to its full capabilities. Outside of the curve is never possible because a country cannot produce more than it is capable of producing. And then inside the curve is also not good because that shows inefficiency in an economy because it is not producing to its full potential. And then anywhere along the curve demonstrates opportunity cost because if an economy wants to produce more capital goods, it has to give up producing some consumer goods. And if an economy wants to produce more consumer goods, it has to give up some capital goods. So that's the production possibility curve.
And what are some examples of capital and consumer goods?
Well, consumer goods would be anything we purchase, food, clothes. Capital goods would be like stuff for defense, like guns, tanks, airplanes.
Alright, now we're going to talk about the four areas of the scarce economic resources. The four economic resources are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur ability. The land is referring to natural resources used to produce goods and services, for example, like water and minerals. The resource of labor consists of talents a person has towards producing goods and services. This is why people with more talents receive higher wages because they are more valuable to a company. Capital includes all products used in the production of consumer goods like factories and transportation. Entrepreneur ability is the human resource which combines land, labor, and capital to produce products. Any business owner is known as an entrepreneur.
So here we have the marginal cost and marginal benefit graph. The labels on each side are marginal cost and benefit on the one side, and quantity of goods and services. And the two lines on it that are intersecting are marginal cost that is going up and marginal benefit that is going down. And the point they make in the middle is called the equilibrium, and that is where marginal benefit equals marginal cost. You never want to be producing outside of this because that means marginal cost is exceeding marginal benefit, and that's a losing proposition for society. You always want to stay on this side because that is where benefit will exceed cost, and that's good.
So now we're going to be talking about positive and normative economics. Positive economics focuses on facts, economic theories, and cause and effects relationships, and it avoids using judgments. Normative, on the other hand, uses judgments, and it also looks at the desirability of an economy. So positive is what is, and normative is what ought to be. An example of a positive statement would be the rugby team has 2 wins, because that's a fact. And a normative statement would be the rugby team ought to play better so they can win every game.
Here we have the micro supply graph. On the bottom is quantity supplied. On the side is the price. And the supply part of the graph is upward sloping because more goods and services will be supplied at higher prices, which allows producers to make the greatest profit. And if we have an increase in the supply, prices will go down because of the competition that is created. And if supply would decrease, prices will increase due to a greater demand. Alright, here we have the micro demand graph. On the bottom is the quantity demanded. And on the side is the price. The demand curve, or the part of the graph, is downward sloping because as price increases, people will demand less products at this specific price. And if we have an increase in demand, prices will increase because people will be willing to pay more for a good or a service. But then if demand would happen to decrease, then prices will decrease because producers will have to sell their products.
Comparative advantage uses opportunity cost in order for the greatest output to occur. For example, Nick can bench 5 reps.
Caleb, stop. Stop.
Dustin can only bench 1. For arm curls, Nick can do 15. I can only do 5 pounds.
Ooh, look at those arms.
This means that I would have the absolute advantage because I can lift more for each lift. And if we were to have a lifting competition and if me and Dustin were a team, I would have to do the bench, whereas Dustin would do curls because that'd be the less of an opportunity cost.
Here we have the circular flow model. Involved are businesses, households, the resource, and product market. The inside path represents the flow of resources, and the outside represents the flow of money and capital. So for the resource market, businesses buy resources, which in turn serves as an income for households. And for the product market, households will buy products, which gives businesses a revenue. And that is the outside path. For the inside path, which represents the flow of resources, you have resources going to businesses from resource market because they're buying them, and households use land, labor, and capital to produce those resources. And then goods and services go to the product market so the businesses can produce products, and in turn this will go to households and serve as goods and resources for them.